Imagine living in a world where the fastest thing you'd ever seen was a horse, where roads were nothing more than muddy trails, and travel meant days of exhaustion. And then, out of nowhere, a strange, rumbling machine rolls into town. No one knows what it is. No one trusts it. Some call it a miracle. Others, a death trap. What you're about to hear isn't just the story of the first cars. It's the story of how two clanking, smoke-spewing inventions shook the world, shattered centuries of tradition, and changed everything forever. Stay with me, because by the end, you'll see that the first cars didn't just change transportation, they changed human destiny. Before the late 1800s, transportation was painfully slow. Horses were the engine of civilization, literally. Cities were designed for them, entire economies depended on them. But horses had limits. They tired. They needed food, water, rest. And when they got sick, or worse, entire supply chains collapsed. People dreamed of a way to move faster, but it seemed impossible. Steam trains existed, yes, but only for long distances on tracks. There was no personal engine, no machine that could carry you wherever you wanted, whenever you wanted. And then a few stubborn inventors decided to make one.
In 1886, a German inventor named Karl Benz built something the world had never seen. It had 3 wheels, a small gasoline engine, and a top speed of 10 miles per hour. It looked ridiculous. It sounded terrifying, but it worked. The Benz patent motor wagon was born. No one rushed to buy it. In fact, people laughed at it. They said, why would anyone trade a horse for this noisy contraption? They didn't realize it yet, but this was the spark that would ignite the automotive revolution. Around the same time, across Europe and America, other inventors were working in secret. In France, Émile Rouget. In the US, Charles and Frank Durea. It wasn't a race to build the fastest machine. It was a race to prove this strange automobile could replace the horse. Then came the moment that changed everything. In 1888, Bertha Benz, Karl's wife, decided she'd had enough of people mocking the car. One morning, without telling him, she took the motor wagon and drove it 66 miles to her mother's house. It was the first long-distance car journey in history. Imagine the scene: villagers hearing a strange noise, rushing out to see this alien-looking machine rattling past, children pointing, old men shaking their heads, and Bertha sitting tall, proving to the world that this wasn't just an invention, it was the future. That one trip sparked headlines. The car was no longer a curiosity. It was a challenge to the way the world worked.
By the 1890s, the idea crossed the Atlantic. In Springfield, Massachusetts, the Durea brothers built America's first gasoline-powered car. And in Detroit, a name you know well, a young mechanic named Henry Ford was watching closely. At first, cars were for the rich, hand-built, expensive, slow. But Ford had a vision, a car for the everyday man. He didn't just want to build cars, he wanted to build a way to build cars. Ford's idea led to the Model T in 1908. It wasn't the fastest, it wasn't the fanciest, but it was affordable. And it put ordinary people behind the wheel for the first time in history. Suddenly, cities expanded. People moved farther from work. Farmers connected to markets miles away. Horses became obsolete. In less than 2 decades, centuries of tradition vanished.
The car didn't just change transportation, it reshaped the world. Roads were paved, gas stations popped up, industries like rubber, steel, and oil exploded. Even time changed. We created time zones to coordinate train and car travel. The first cars turned nations into connected, mobile societies. They gave people freedom they'd never imagined. And once humanity tasted that freedom, there was no going back. Think about it. The first cars were slow. loud, expensive. Most people laughed at them, but a few visionaries saw something the rest couldn't. A machine that could carry dreams as far as the horizon. And just like that, history pivoted. From dusty horse trails to endless highways. From days of travel to hours. The first cars didn't just move people. They moved civilization forward. And maybe that's the real lesson. The ideas people laugh at today might just be the ones that change everything tomorrow.